It's what actually makes a difference in people's lives. And the best part to me is I think it actually can make a difference financially to companies. If we talk, as the previous speakers did, about the proliferation of media and how there's too much media out there, this is the media that will set your newspaper apart. This is the stories that will actually make a difference on the newsstands. It is very expensive. There's this story on the right-hand side. It was a New York Times Magazine story about Katrina and what was happening in Katrina. It took a year for the journalists to investigate what happened during the floods in Katrina, and how the hospital staff, realizing that they couldn't actually do much to bail out the people who were already stuck in the hospital, began a process of euthanizing some patients. It was a desperately sad story, and it was a desperately tough decision for the hospital staff to make. But it was an intriguing story, and it did tell about the nuances of what happened during those few days. But it was also an exceptionally expensive story. It cost them $400,000. One journalist working a full year to produce this. There's editors involved, there's the process of going through it. And you have to ask, is that a return on investment? And that's a question that the editors have always dodged on that one. Possibly because it isn't tremendously effective in terms of, it's far easier to do a report on MS Dhoni's hairstyle, which you can pull together in a week and stick that in your front page. And it'll cost you far less. But ultimately, it doesn't support your brand, it doesn't reinforce your reputation, and leads to the slow drip loss of readers, I imagine. So what you had, as people talked about, you had the separation between the tabloid media, the kind of news of the world style stuff, and the pro-democracy style, please support us because we're poor in doing a public service type journalism. You get the pro-publica model, which is exactly that. They ask for money from grants, from special interest funders, so that they can support the mission of journalism, the public purpose of it. I'm not actually sure if that's a sustainable model in the longer term, just to be relying on funding. The Guardian's been doing great stuff.